If you're over 60 and dealing with erectile dysfunction, what you eat could be quietly making things worse or significantly better. Most doctors won't tell you this, but there are 3 specific nuts that could be silently sabotaging your performance, and 3 others that might actually help restore your confidence naturally. The difference between these choices could mean the difference between struggling in silence and reclaiming your vitality. I'm Dr. Mohit Kara, a men's health specialist with over 3 decades of experience helping older men navigate the challenges that come with aging. I've sat across from thousands of men who've told me the same story. They feel like their bodies are betraying them, like something essential has just stopped working. But here's what I've discovered in my years of practice. Sometimes the solution isn't found in a pharmacy. Sometimes it's sitting right there in your kitchen. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly which 3 nuts you must avoid if you're dealing with erectile dysfunction, and which 3 you can safely eat, even enjoy, as part of supporting your overall health. But more importantly, I'll explain why these choices matter so much for men over 60 and how they can impact everything from your circulation to your energy levels. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss vital health information designed specifically for men your age. And if this message speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If you're skeptical, type 0. Either way, I want to hear from you because your voice helps me create content that truly serves your needs. Let's start with something most men never consider: the connection between what you snack on and how your body performs when it matters most. Because the truth is, some nuts that seem perfectly healthy can actually interfere with the very systems your body relies on for proper function. The first nut you need to avoid might surprise you because it's often recommended for heart health. But for men dealing with erectile dysfunction, this particular nut can actually make things worse. I'm talking about walnuts, and here's why they can be problematic for older men struggling with performance issues. Now, don't get me wrong, walnuts aren't poison. They're packed with omega-3 fatty acids and have many health benefits. But there's something about walnuts that most men don't realize. They're extremely high in what's called phytic acid, a compound that can interfere with your body's ability to absorb zinc. And zinc, gentlemen, is absolutely crucial for testosterone production and overall male sexual health. I remember a patient named Frank, a 68-year-old retired electrician, who came to me frustrated and confused. He'd been eating a handful of walnuts every morning for months, thinking he was doing something good for his heart. But during that same period, his energy had been dropping, his morning erections had become less frequent, and he just didn't feel like himself anymore. When we ran his blood work, his zinc levels were borderline low, not dangerously low, but low enough to impact his hormonal balance. Here's what happens when your zinc levels drop. Your body produces less testosterone, your circulation can suffer, and your overall sexual function begins to decline. It's not dramatic or sudden, but it's steady and persistent. The phytic acid in walnuts binds to zinc in your digestive system, making it harder for your body to absorb this essential mineral. For a man in his 60s or 70s, whose zinc absorption is already declining naturally with age, this can be the tipping point that pushes his levels too low. But there's another issue with walnuts that's even more concerning for men with erectile dysfunction. They're incredibly high in polyunsaturated fats, specifically omega-6 fatty acids. While some omega-6 is necessary, too much can promote inflammation in your body, and inflammation is one of the biggest enemies of healthy blood flow. Think about it this way. Erectile function depends entirely on your body's ability to send blood where it needs to go when it needs to go there. When inflammation builds up in your blood vessels, they become less flexible, less responsive. The very pathways your body relies on for performance become compromised. I've seen men make dramatic improvements simply by removing walnuts from their daily routine and replacing them with zinc-rich foods or supplements. Frank, the patient I mentioned, noticed a difference within about 6 weeks. His energy returned, his morning erections became more consistent, and he told me he felt like he'd gotten a part of himself back. It might be worth taking a break to see if it makes a difference. Your body will tell you what it needs. The second nut you need to be cautious about is one that's often marketed as a superfood. But for men over 60 dealing with performance issues, it can actually work against you. I'm talking about Brazil nuts, and the reason might shock you. Brazil nuts are incredibly high in selenium, and while selenium is an important mineral, too much of it can actually interfere with your sexual health. Most people don't realize that just 1 or 2 Brazil nuts contain more selenium than your body needs for an entire day. And when you consume too much selenium over time, it can lead to something called selenosis, which can cause fatigue, hair loss, and yes, problems with sexual function. I had a patient named Robert, a 65-year-old former teacher who'd been eating 3 or 4 Brazil nuts every day for over a year. He'd read somewhere that they were good for prostate health, so he made them part of his daily routine. But over time, he started experiencing persistent fatigue, some hair thinning, and a noticeable decline in his libido. When we tested his selenium levels, they were significantly elevated. Here's what excess selenium can do to your body. It can interfere with your thyroid function, which directly impacts your energy levels and metabolism. It can also affect your body's ability to produce hormones efficiently, including testosterone. But there's something even more concerning about Brazil nuts for men with erectile dysfunction. They're grown in soil that's naturally high in selenium, but they also tend to accumulate other heavy metals like barium and radium. While the levels aren't dangerous for occasional consumption, regular daily intake can lead to a slow buildup of these substances in your system. Your liver, which is responsible for processing hormones and maintaining healthy circulation, can become overburdened trying to deal with these accumulated metals. When your liver isn't functioning optimally, it can't properly metabolize testosterone or support the biochemical processes that healthy sexual function depends on. Robert made a simple change. He stopped eating Brazil nuts daily and limited himself to 1 or 2 per week at most. Within a couple of months, his energy returned, his hair stopped thinning, and his interest in intimacy came back. It was a reminder that sometimes more isn't better, especially when it comes to concentrated nutrients. The third nut you need to avoid might be the most surprising of all because it's often considered a healthy snack food. I'm talking about salted peanuts, and the problem isn't just the salt, though that's certainly part of it. The real issue is more complex and more damaging than most men realize. First, let's talk about the salt. Most commercially available peanuts are loaded with sodium, and excess sodium is one of the biggest enemies of healthy blood pressure. For men over 60, high blood pressure is already a common concern, and it's directly linked to erectile dysfunction.